I want to take a moment to address some important conversations happening across the WNBA, including remarks made earlier this week by Napheesa Collier. First, let me repeat this. You saw it in my statement, but I have the utmost respect for Napheesa and for every single player in our league. They are at the center of everything we do. I was disheartened to hear that some players feel the league and me personally do not care about them or listen to them. And if the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then we have to do better and I have to do better.
The WNBA is not being led right now. It is being held hostage by a commissioner who sees the league's biggest star as a threat, not an asset. Forget the gold rush. This is a betrayal at the highest level. A generational economic boom is happening because of one woman, Caitlin Clark, and the person in charge, Cathy Engelbart, has been exposed as a saboteur. Caitlin Clark delivered the WNBA a blank check, record ratings, sold out arenas, and millions in new sponsorship revenue. It was a gift of $1 billion future. So what did Commissioner Cathy Engelbert do? She didn't celebrate it. She didn't protect it. She attacked it. She was caught on tape, not just making awkward comments, but sounding jealous, resentful, and utterly toxic, obsessively talking about the players' personal endorsement money while the league's foundational problems, the low salaries, the poor travel, go ignored. She sounded like an enemy, not a leader. And now, faced with the undeniable evidence of her petty financial fixation, Engelbert is engaged in a desperate executive lie, trying to deny the words that came directly out of her mouth. This isn't just a misstep, it's an executive scandal that proves the biggest threat to the WNBA's growth isn't rival sports or low media deals. It's the toxic, untrustworthy leadership at the very top, actively sabotaging its own success. The footage isn't just proof, it's the smoking gun exposing the WNBA's fundamental corruption. The clip that surfaced is a textbook definition of poor optics. We see WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert on a panel, and her topic of choice is the massive endorsement wealth of the league's most important rookie.
All right, well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? Because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a US platform. So there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old.
Listen to the tone. It's not celebratory. It's not the sound of a leader praising the economic power a player brings. It sounds like an audit. She points out how Clark came into the league already a millionaire, mentioning the sheer size of her endorsement deals. She frames it almost as if this financial success is a complication, or worse, a problem the league has to deal with. Here is the monumental, staggering disconnect. Clark is the person who is generating the greatest surge of new fans, new TV ratings, and new ticket revenue in the WNBA's history. She is the golden goose, and the commissioner's first public thought is to keep tabs on how much the goose is earning on her own time. Can you imagine Adam Silver pointing out how much money LeBron James or Steph Curry makes off their shoe deals? It would be laughed out of the room. That's because real leaders understand that star power is a shared economic asset. They work to grow the brand with the star. Engelbert in that moment looked less like a leader building an empire and more like a disgruntled accountant counting someone else's slices of the pie. To truly understand the controversy, you have to look at the structural hypocrisy it reveals. Thanks to NIL, athletes like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are arriving in the WNBA as established brands and millionaires. This is a sign of progress for women's sports. But here is the bitter truth. Due to the WNBA's deeply outdated salary structure, Clark's initial league salary is a mere fraction of what she commanded in college endorsements. This should have been Cathy Engelbert's call to action. Her job should be to scream from the rooftops for a massive immediate salary cap hike, for better travel, and for revenue sharing that reflects the star power Clark provides. Instead, she chose to focus on the player's personal wealth. Why? Because focusing on Clark's money is a massive executive deflection. It draws attention away from the commissioner's own failure to modernize the WNBA's business model. It allows her to quietly ignore the fact that the league's economic foundation is so weak that a 22-year-old rookie is already financially ahead of the very institution she's joining. It's a bait and switch. Instead of admitting the league isn't paying enough, she suggests the player is already making too much. It's a cynical and self-serving maneuver. The worst part is the subtle but unmistakable implication. She seemed to suggest that Clark owes her success to the WNBA platform, a sentiment that is not only tone deaf but laughably wrong. Clark created the platform. She brought the attention, the ratings, and the new money. The WNBA owes her a massive debt of gratitude, not a sideways glare at her endorsement money. This is a case of the carriage pulling the horse, and the person in charge can't seem to recognize the new reality. The initial comments were a PR nightmare. The subsequent damage control was a corporate catastrophe. When the backlash inevitably hit because fans and players saw the jealousy and the arrogance in her words, Engelbert chose the absolute worst path. She decided to lie. In her press conference response, she claimed she was disheartened by the portrayal and that she never made those kinds of remarks about Clark's endorsements.
Obviously, I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league.
Cathy Engelbert denies it.
Obviously, a lot of reporting, a lot of inaccuracy about what I said or what I didn't say.
Let us be perfectly clear, this is a lie. The footage exists. We have all heard the comments. We have seen the clips. For the commissioner of a major North American sports league to be caught red-handed and then try to tell the public that their eyes and ears deceived them is not just poor leadership. It is a profound insult to the intelligence of the WNBA's entire audience. It makes the entire league look like it operates in the shadows, hoping to bury uncomfortable truths. This is a textbook case of failed crisis management. A real leader would have owned the mistake, admitted the optics were bad, and immediately pivoted to praising Clark and committing to grow the league's financial structure. Instead, Engelbert doubled down on the deceit. Her denial, defensive and hollow, has not only reignited the controversy, but transformed it from an issue of poor judgment into one of outright executive untrustworthiness. How can players, fans, and potential future investors believe anything the commissioner says when she is so easily contradicted by her own words on camera? This toxic mix of resentment and denial is a cancer on the league's reputation. The damage from these comments goes far beyond a media cycle. It penetrates the very culture of the WNBA. Engelbert's remarks are not just an attack on Clark, they are an act of internal sabotage. Professional locker rooms are already pressurized environments. Now, imagine you are a veteran player fighting for a livable wage, watching a rookie walk in who is already financially secure from outside deals. There is a natural competitive tension there. What does the commissioner do? She pours gasoline on the fire. By openly and seemingly resentfully focusing on Clark's off-court income, she legitimizes and amplifies the very jealousy that could divide the locker room. A good commissioner works to unite the players against external challenges, against low media coverage, against poor travel, against unfair officiating. A bad commissioner creates division from within. Engelbert's words shifted the focus away from the league's systemic problems, salaries, travel, and marketing, and made it about one player's success. She effectively gave veteran players a public, commissioner-sanctioned reason to feel disgruntled toward their most popular teammate. This is the opposite of leadership. It is the cynical manipulation of player dynamics for executive convenience. The WNBA has a clear path to becoming a true major league, but that path runs directly through the star power of Caitlin Clark. Her presence is not just a trend, it's the cornerstone for future TV deals, global partnerships, and massive revenue growth. Engelbert's primary job is to secure that future. Instead, she has created a hostile environment. What message does this send to Clark? That the league leadership views her success with suspicion, that they aren't partners, but auditors. Clark has options. International leagues would pay her top dollar. Future superstar rookies, seeing this treatment, will think twice about how the WNBA values them. The league desperately needs to be seen as a place that celebrates and elevates its stars, not one that resents them. The entire incident boils down to this: the WNBA is attempting to run a modern, star-driven league with an old-school institutional mindset. That mindset fears independent, wealthy players because it challenges the executive's control. If Cathy Engelbert cannot recognize that her job is to serve the stars who generate the revenue, if she cannot stop worrying about what is in Caitlin Clark's pockets and start focusing on the billion-dollar opportunity Clark presents, then she is a systemic risk. She is an anchor holding back a ship ready to sail. The fans are ready, the sponsors are ready, the league's biggest star is ready. The only thing standing in the way of a brighter future is a leadership that is either too petty or too dishonest to get out of the way. It is time for Engelbert to change her toxic attitude and lead, or accept the consequences of being the obstacle the WNBA finally has to remove.